Hi there, Wycliffe Barrett, Xplane dedicated. Today we're going to have a look at the DC-8. Beautiful aircraft, it's been remodelled for XP11. Costs $35 from Xplane.org. We'll see you right after the intro.
November 180 good afternoon. Report your altitude. 2,000 feet.
So $35 for this aircraft. It's I think it's by Richard Wilson. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to check on that. Relive the glamour of the classic jetliners, right? The DC-8 was built in 1958. So that was 4 years after I was born. A little bit of maths there for you. You can be working out, you can figure out how old I am. Oh, it's okay, I'll tell you. I'm 63. But this aircraft was built in 1958. How long ago is that? It's absolutely ancient aircraft, and some of them are still about. I think maybe in some kind of museums, and maybe a couple flying. It's a beautiful aircraft. It's that classic era of the 1950s when airline travel was something really special, and when you got on an airplane you was treated very, very differently. So I believe. I'm still too young to actually have been on an aircraft at that age, but anyway, this isn't going to be a full-on kind of tutorial review. It's just going to be a review of what is in the aircraft. I'm going to talk about the systems. I will tell you now that it's a bit of a handful because you've got an engineer station and co-pilot and all the rest of it. So it's a bit of a handful in that sense. But what they've done in updating this aircraft is they've put in the default Xplane 11 FMC, which is good. So you can either use the FMC, the default XP11 FMC, or you can use the SEVA, X-SEVA, which is the original INS inertial navigation system. Now, with the INS, of course, you can only do 9 waypoints at a time, so you've got to put in 9 waypoints, and when you get to the 9th waypoint, you then input a further 8, and then a further 8, and then a further 8. That's how that works. But there is an FMC, they put an FMC in it, so that kind of makes it easier, so it's kind of been updated in that sense. And there are lots and lots of great features with this aircraft. Let's have a look.
Okay, so here I am. I'm in the cockpit, and just to tell you straight off is that the DC-8 comes with some pre-programmed views on the numpad keys, but because I use X camera, I've kind of got rid of those and I've created my own profile for X camera. But looking around the cockpit here, you can see that it looks quite reasonable. Some of the texturing is a little bit suspect, and some things look better than the other. You'll notice there was an FMC and the SEVA INS system in there as well, so you can navigate using the two. Here's the engineers panel, rather complex with over 45 different buttons, dials and toggles, so there's a lot there, a lot to be getting your head around. It is a complex aircraft. I am going to tell you that. I make no bones about it. It is a complex aircraft, and I haven't really had time because of other commitments and grandchildren and goodness knows what else. I haven't had the time to learn how to fly it. But there is an FMC, as you can see, is the default Xplane 11 FMC, which is new, of course, with Xplane 11. And it's like any other FMC to program. The only thing I found having difficulty with that is I can never figure out how to get the cruise altitude in. There's no perf init page like in some of the other FMCs that we see. Right next to that, in the middle there, is your navigational display. So when you put your route in, it shows up on the nav display there. And to the left is the SEVA module, which is INS Inertial Navigation System. It is in there, but you then have to get to X-SEVA from Xplane.org, which is the whole package, so to speak. So you've got a 3D model of it, but it doesn't work, so to speak. It's not fully operational. You can see, I think I was creating a plan here. You can see the magenta line moving around, and as I created this flight plan, I think it's normal Cardiff to Manchester flight plan that I quickly put in there, and it works. It does what it's supposed to do. There's no problems there. Everything is straightforward. It's easy to program. But once again, my biggest complaint, I think, is some of the texturing, especially around the cockpit. So when you see the full cockpit from the front, the full panel, you think, oh, that looks okay, and then you notice that some of the texturing has not been done that well. So, for example, on the side of the navigational display there, it's supposed to be, you know, grey paint worn away, and it's a bit heavy-handed. The effect is a little bit heavy-handed. They could have done it better, I think. But you know, you look at the, I think it's the vertical speed wheel on the MCP, and it just doesn't. It looks wrong. It's not right at all. You know, it has not been done properly. Where you do see some really nice texturing is on the throttle quadrant, and I've got another piece of video which I'm going to put in a moment where you'll see the throttle quadrant, and that looks really nice. The engineer's panel is okay. They could have done a bit more work on it. It looks good. It's clean. You can see, but the back panel, where all the push-ins are and everything, all the, I can't remember what you call them now, but where you've got all the buttons that you push in, what do you call those things? Can't remember. Anyway, the back panel by the door of the cockpit is dreadful, absolutely dreadful. They could have done a much better job with that. So you see what I mean here about the throttle quadrant. It looks really nice, but then you look at other things and you think, well, that could have been done better. For example, the Seaver, it looks as though that it belongs to a different aircraft entirely. The overhead panel there, once again, not that bad, could be better. And the same with the engineer's panel here. Not that bad, could be a lot better on the texturing. But once again, we've got to remember that this is a very old aircraft that has been updated for Xplane 11. You look at the seats, and the seats are okay. Look at the stains there on the shoulder of the seat there. You know, that's neat. And then there's manuals hanging around and documents hanging around. You can't open. There's the parking brake on that wheel there, on the tiller wheel. You've got the park brake, so that's in a rather unusual position. And the gas mask, oxygen mask hanging down. Well, let's have a look at the exterior then. So just coming in here on a flyby, the exterior I really like. They've done a fabulous job with all the different paints. Okay, in so much as they look kind of worn and old and a bit dirty, and you see streaks on them. You know, and I really like some of the paints. They've done a really nice job with these, and they're all paints, liveries from the era of, you know, the late 1950s, early 1960s. I think you get something like 7 liveries altogether. I'll have to check on that, I may be wrong, but I think it's 7 liveries. Some of them I haven't heard of myself. Clearly, they were airlines of that era. So I think overall, I think it looks really good. Now, apparently, they've taken out loads of stuff, and I'll go through a detailed list in a moment, but they've taken out an awful lot of stuff, such as rivets, and they've smoothed things off in the aeroplane and all sorts of other things, which is really, you know, it's really nice the way they've done that. As an aircraft, I like it. I really do like it, I must say. And I did a 10-mile approach into Cardiff, and it is a lumbering beast. It does not move as quickly as you would like it to. Believe me, when you move the joystick to the left, it does take a while to kind of bank over. And because we're talking old technology here, there's no blinking fly-by-wire. There's no computers driving the ailerons or anything like that. It is really, you know, it's probably all cables, you know, and pulleys running through the length of the aircraft to all the leading edges and the flaps and the ailerons and everything else. So yeah. Talking of flaps, by the way, the flaps are like barn doors. They are huge. And we'll see those when I do my 10-mile approach. They're absolutely massive. Anyway, let's have a little bit of music. I think David Cutter, my favourite YouTube music maker at the moment, and I'll see you in a few minutes. As we roll down runway 30, you can see that this aircraft is a lumbering beast, and it really takes some power to get it airborne, but we're just about to lift the nose, and here we go. We are flying. Beautiful aircraft in the air, a bit lumbering and slow in responding to the controls, but the reason being is that this is old tech and it's probably using cables and wires to all the control surfaces, ailerons, flaps and vertical stabilizer. Anyway, let's do this circuit here at Cardiff and then come back around for our usual 10-mile approach to runway 30. Okay, the DC-8 for Xplane has had numerous amounts of work done on it. There's a passenger version and a freighter version. The 3D Seaver has been added. New version 11 3D FMS has been put in, and there are two distinct FMSs, one for the passenger version, one for the freighter. They've removed the extra rocket engine sound system. There's fuel transfer and selector has been added. New custom gauges throughout. Instruments, reflections, texture has been reduced. Speed brake handle has been corrected, arm function and texture. GPU and stairs can show separately now. DC-8 6.1 version, wing texture sharpened and leading edge riveting removed. Animated cargo door added on freighter version. Two new liveries, Delta Airlines and Zambia Airways, have been included. And there are new version 11 custom icons for all liveries, which is something quite useful, especially when you get into your graphical user interface. The full feature list includes flight testing by retired DC-8 and L1011 pilot Andre Poignier, and a DC-8 71 Captain Carlos Roldos, and DC-8 Captain Gerhard Opel. So 3 captains have done the testing on this aircraft, which means that it's got to be good for a number of things. The 3D cockpit is by Julian Brazel. Animation of the doors includes the animation of the corresponding stair car. There are 2 choices of textures for the cockpit are provided, low definition and high definition, depending on your graphic card abilities. There's visible hot air jet exhaust, animated thrust reversers and spinning fans. Choice of 3 pilot figures, male and female, so you can choose who you have sitting next to you. Uses 3D lighting for both interior and exterior night features. And for the best experience, ensure that the HDR obviously is activated within Xplane 11. The list goes on and on and on. There is a comprehensive manual, but it isn't inside the main folder. The manual is hidden on the download page at xplane.org. I didn't see it, and like a fool, I spent ages looking through all of the manual, all of the folders within Xplane, within the Xplane directory. Couldn't find it. I had to ask for some help on Xplane Dedicated, and somebody told me where it was. What a fool I felt. Here we go, we're coming into land, runway 30 at Cardiff Airport. There we go, touchdown. Of course, I've got XP Realistic running in the background, so that you get that really good shaking about. Also, this aircraft was designed in such a way that the undercarriage could take full impact, so to speak, on landing in a crosswind, so you could land it crossed, so to speak, and the undercarriage would take the full impact. So it was one of the first aircraft to feature that for that time. Don't forget, this aircraft was built in 1958. Anyway, what can I say? It is a beautiful aircraft. There are a number of things that could be tidied up, such as the texturing in the cockpit, as I said. Certain elements of that, but overall it flies really well. It's a beauty to hand fly, and it takes when you move the control surfaces, the aircraft doesn't respond immediately like an Airbus, where an Airbus can turn on a sixpence, so to speak. you know, you've got to think ahead, got to get ahead of the aircraft to fly this, otherwise it can get away from you quite easily. As I was coming in on that final approach to runway 30, you know, very quickly it can just, you know, get past you and you wonder what the hell's going on. So yeah, you've got to be a little bit on the ball, make sure you know what you're doing, and you know, everything will be fine. I think it's worth the money, but that's my personal opinion. Only you can decide. If you like this era of aircraft from the 1950s, then I would buy it, you know, straight away. It's lovely, and I really am looking forward to flying this. I'm not quite sure what the range is, but you do get lots of documentation that tells you all of that kind of stuff in the manual. So yeah, there's full charts in the flight envelopes, fuel calculations, a lot. It's really good. It's not a huge manual. I think it's something like 16 pages in total, so it's not massive, but it's enough to get you there, and you know, you can find out what you need to do. It does take quite a bit of power to get it moving. Once you stop, you've really got to open those throttles up to get moving, because it kind of sticks to the ground a little bit, as you can see here. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this review. It's, like I say, it wasn't a full-on tutorial. It was never meant to be a tutorial in that sense. Just my perspective on this wonderful aircraft from 1958, from that real classic era of airline travel. As always, my name's Wycliffe Barrett. This is Xplane Dedicated. We'll see you soon. Take care and cheerio.
Yeah.